Hey guys, Adam Winch here with Defenders USA, and lucky thing for us, Tory Soper is also here today. So I'll let him introduce himself here in a minute. You guys know me, so Tory, please sir, take it away. Tell us who you are.
My name's Tory Soper, and I am the owner and lead instructor at Soper Firearms Training down in Ashland, Kentucky. I'm here on doing some work, and Adam got a hold of me and said, let's hang out and do some stuff together.
Yeah, this is
and
great.
When Adam Winch calls, you run.
I don't know about that, but this is great, right? He came from Kentucky, just got into the Phoenix area today, and I've been traveling all over Colorado, California, so the fact that we're in town the same time together, to me, is a fortunate thing. So we're going to do a couple different videos today, but one of the first things I really wanted to talk about was really, I think, mindset, right? As a firearms carrier, right, you're running around with a deadly tool to defend life. And to defend life, oftentimes that means other people might get hurt because you're having to use your defensive tool, and they could even die from that type of thing because you're defending life. And I think the mindset is oftentimes easily talked about between us, right? That, yeah, you got to have the mindset, I can shoot people, I can take the gun, and I can do that, right? We go on the range, we shoot paper, we shoot steel, we do a really good job with it. But then when it comes time to actually pull and drive that gun out on a human being, right, that's a completely different thing. And I found for me, as a cop for so long, either when I've had to pull a gun and go on somebody else, or I've dealt with other people who've had to pull a gun and put it on somebody else and maybe even pull the trigger, there was a mental and emotional shock that came to them for the fact they actually put it into or almost had to shoot another human being. And then the mental, emotional aftermath of that was a long-term effect to them. So to me, I think part of the biggest things that we need to talk about in the gun community is really the emotional or the mental preparation for the defensive life, pulling the gun, actually putting it on another human being to save life. And I think it's a big topic we need to talk about, and I don't think it's talked about enough. What do you think?
No, and I think another thing that we probably ought to talk about is, I think everybody understands the aftermath could be traumatic, but I think what isn't talked about enough is I don't want to get into a gunfight.
No.
I don't want to.
Never.
So because I carry a gun, I need to have it in myself, in my mindset that, hey man, I'm sorry, I'm going to go ahead and walk over here. I didn't mean to bump you. You know, I'm going to be more polite. I'm going to be more courteous to other people. I'm not going to get all huffy puffy and get into an argument with somebody because I have a gun.
So could we say that with a gun, a lot less ego is involved?
Absolutely.
A lot less ego.
Ego. Yeah, I think that's the word I've been trying to think while I'm talking. But yeah, ego, you can't have it.
Yeah, I mean, I know for me, the second I strap on a gun, which is kind of all the time, anytime I leave my house, suddenly any ego that there could be, and I don't have a lot, but any ego there could be, I got to leave that at home. And when somebody starts chipping off at me because of a driving, whether they perceived I did something bad or not, or I get upset at how somebody's driving, or, you know, somebody starts getting mouthy somewhere else, it's suddenly time to go, hey man, I don't need trouble, and hey man, no problem, whatever it is,
right,
to avoid that gunfight in the first place. So yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, that's really something we need to think about, but then also be able to make that transition into, okay, I've done everything I can. This person is really starting to scare me, or he's pulled something on me. Now it's time to come. Now I think we need to start worrying about, am I pulling to protect me? Can I pull to protect Grandma Betty that is rolling down the street in her, you know, and
or do you want to? Do you want to pull to defense of a third party?
Right. Yeah, that's discussions you've got to have with yourself. So now you've got to make that transition. Okay, I've tried A, now we're going to go to B. Where's my mindset for B? What am I going to do? How is it going to make me feel? Am I okay with this?
Okay, what would you define as your B?
My B is...
A is you've tried to talk your way out of it.
Yeah, A is I've tried to talk my way out of it. I've been as polite as I can. I've been as nice as I can. I've tried to walk away. My B is it's going to be situational. Do I go to a pepper spray? Do I go to a gun? I carry a flashlight that is very bright.
Yep.
Do I blind him? You know,
or even that flashlight could be an impact weapon if need be.
Because it is big enough. a discussion I've also had with myself is, as far as third-party members goes, me personally, unless it's an attack on an elderly person or a woman or somebody that is obviously getting in trouble, I'm going to stay out. I've got my own kids to think about. I've got my own career to think about. Unless it is just absolutely egregious and they're going to get seriously hurt, I'm gonna kind of watch. I'm gonna call 911 and I'm gonna say, hey, this is what's going on. By the way, I'm gonna stick around till you get here. I have a gun. If this gets worse, I'll
So you'd be willing to be there to be as a witness. You're not going to turn and walk away.
No.
And I would agree with you, right? Unless it's absolutely egregious, always, right? And we said this in the cop world, learn to be a good witness. Just be a good witness.
Right.
Learn height, eye color, hair color, what they're wearing, and usually I look at what doesn't change, right? It's very easy for us to pull off shirts, flip out of shirts, everything else, but what's hard? What do people not change? They tend not to change their pants.
Shoes.
They don't tend to take their pants off. They don't tend to take their shoes off. They don't tend to quickly go shave off the fuzz on the face, right?
Right.
So I tend to look for those things. I don't really look for the eye color as much unless it's striking, because oftentimes at speeds you don't see that type of thing. But, if they got the big snaggletooth going on, but I look for the big things and generally the things that don't change quickly. Yeah. So that's what I look for. I also like to go with the idea that from the B perspective, as you're talking about, is making myself obvious as a witness. So if Grandma Good Cookies over there is getting attacked, I don't even know the lady, right? But something bad's happening to her. I'm going to make sure I'm visible not only to her, but to the other people while I address them. Hey, leave her alone. Hey, get back. Hey, I'm calling the cops. I'm doing something to alert that other bad guy. I'm right here and I'm watching this type of thing.
And sometimes that's enough that they'll go, oh, crap.
Yeah, never mind.
They'll take off.
Because look, big strong dude right here, hair on his face, so he's probably tough. And therefore they go, you know what, I don't want anything to do with this guy watching me.
So now you just call the cops and get them in and say, this is what he looked like, and it's all done.
And nothing wrong, too, with going to the cell phone, pulling it out, and either recording or pretend you're recording. But I would suggest that if you are going to use the cell phone to use as a witness device, that if you're a gun carrier, and I'm right-handed because God loves right-handers, right? I would suggest if you're going to record, you always do that with your left hand.
I would agree
because
with that,
I want to leave this one free if I need to drop this and go to that, but I want this one free.
Right.
So that's a thought there. So I could say both of us agree on that B, as you're talking about, is we're a presence. Maybe we're going to our pepper sprays, which sounds like you carry as well as I do. It's our non-lethal weaponry, and oftentimes just our presence, both verbal and just visual. Okay, so I think the next component is how big is your love, right? Because I've come to the conclusion I'm no longer going to pull this thing or use this thing in defensive life unless I'm really willing to spend the rest of my days in a cage, where I can't watch my little boys grow up and maybe get married or do whatever it is they do. That I can't be there if, at 50 years down the road, stroking my wife's hand as she goes into the afterlife, right? I want to be there for those things. It sounds like you're the same for you. So it comes down to me is how big is my love, right? There's certain people in my life, I'll spend the rest of my life in a cage for the rest of my life to ensure they don't have terrible consequences, both medically or just they lose life because I don't act. If I need to act for those reasons, I'll do it. But how big is our love for those others that maybe you don't know, or maybe you know them casually? I think that's another discussion, probably for another time to talk about.
Yeah.
But I think that's another portion of this whole thing is, how big is your love? Who do you love well enough to go to that gun if you absolutely have to?
Right. So say you do have to go to the gun. I mean, you've made the decision that, okay, morally, I got to do something. Legally, I'm okay if I do something.
And we have not even talked legally, but you got to be right with the laws of your state.
So say you've got all that figured out in your head, you're okay, and you need to defend yourself. So you go ahead and you defend yourself. So now, how are you going to deal with that rush of emotion? Because you're going to have it.
So before we get to that, before we go to that, I think it's important that we get to the component that we think about, can I pull this lethal device and put it on another human being? One, we have to know the laws of our states. If
Right.
it doesn't fit the law, it doesn't fit the law. Two, understand that gun, okay, fake gun right here, blue gun, right? That gun is a tool of last resort. I mean, it's the last resort, right? It's broken arrow. There's
Right.
nothing else you can do. You've got to go to this gun. You have no other choice. I mean, it's truly broken arrow. And too often people get stuck on the gun laws of their state going, well, I can stand my ground. Or, it's the make my day law of Colorado. No. It's a tool of last resort. Okay.
Exactly.
So we know it's the total last resort. There's nothing else you can do. How prepared are you for the moment you've got to take that gun and drive it out to truly another human being? That's a hard thing. What have you done to prepare for that? What kind of...
I've just had a conversation with myself.
Okay.
That, if it comes down to a situation of, if it's my life or their life, I'm the one that's coming through still alive. I've made that decision in myself.
Okay.
That I'm willing to do that. As long as I know that, it is a defensive. It's not it's not an offensive. It's not a
defensive.
punishment. It's a defensive.
Yep.
Then I know in myself, I had to.
So for me, I had to break it down to multiple levels, right? I had to look at it first of all, okay, on a legal level, which we've talked about, but then I had to look at it on, say, an emotional level. Am I prepared to actually drive this gun into somebody else and possibly take away human life?
Right.
Am I ready for the effect of watching the light go out of somebody else's eyes as maybe they're screaming for their mommy because I purposely and intentionally put bullets into them? Am I ready for that moment? Right? Or for that moment where you literally hear the death rattle, you hear people or you watch them expire. Am I actually ready for that? Am I okay with that? Right? And then I had to look at it too from could you say the financial aspect? Am I ready for the massive aftermath that's coming in the legal system that's out there? Because I guarantee you pull a gun on somebody else and you go bang, you're going to have to possibly face criminal charges, and you almost certainly will face civil charges or a civil court process. And those right there alone, if you go through both, you're looking at probably $1 million or more. So I needed to be prepared for that. So I've done that. I don't know what you do, but I've done it through Firearms Legal Protection.
That's exactly where I'm through.
Yep, I've got the prepaid legal through them because that helps me prepare for that aftermath that's there. But then too, I had to look at it from a spiritual level. Have I squared it with my God? Right? Have I really sat down with my book and gone through this to where I understand it very, very well, and it's truly square before my God? Right? And of course, folks watching this video, you may not ascribe to a God with, could we say, your moral conscience. Are you really squared with your God? And for me, I had to literally put myself into my prayer closet and spend some time going through, what does the Bible say about the defense of life and the righteousness of taking human life in defense of others?
Right.
And that's a real conversation to have with yourself. That takes
absolutely.
some time. And I find too, that's something that sometimes we need to go back and revisit, maybe once a year or so, every 2 years, and kind of revisit, re-solidify.
Well, I think as we live, you've got young children, so you've got to think about them. I don't. My children are grown. Yes, I have a new grandchild, but I have to put, as our lives experience, you've been a cop. You've had things in your life that might make some of that a little easier for you than someone that's never ever had to do that.
And that's the point here, is hopefully those listening to us who've not had to have the conversation with ourselves that you've had and that I've had many times over. And we're hoping you guys can go home and have these conversations and understand this is not something that you can do right now. No. Right? I see this all the time. People show up in my classes, our concealed carry classes, our gun classes on the range, and like, yep, they show up, I'm just going to shoot them. No, it's not that easy.
It doesn't work like that.
No, this is a conversation usually I find for the average civilian who's never done this type of stuff for, it really takes months, if not a year or two, to truly solidify and do well so that they're comfortable in the aftermath.
Agreed.
So one other area I touch on when it comes to, hey, am I comfortable doing this, is I look at it from a societal standpoint. Understand, you pull a gun in defense of life and you go bang in defense of life, those within your life who like you the way you are currently liked are going to like you differently. They're going to treat you differently. They're going to act and react to you differently, and it's going to affect you, right? It's always interesting to me how victims of crime who've had to go bang with a gun, or the cops I know have been through those type of things, how they get treated differently by the people, their peers, those they know, their family. And that's a weird, odd thing to a lot of people, because for some reason, we Americans just like to be liked. I don't know why, we like to be liked, but we like to be liked the way we're liked. And when suddenly the way we're liked and treated by those who like us is different than what we're used to, suddenly we get all bent out of shape and we start doing bad things to ourselves, right? I know multiple people who've been the victim of crime who later their social life changed because of it. And next thing you know, they drown their sorrows in a bottle, or thumping on the husband or wife one time too many, or in a needle, or starting their own gun somewhere because their life changed. I mean, I can tell you a very personal story of that, maybe some other time, but because the way that person was liked on a social level, it really messed them up. And we've got to be able to be comfortable in that moment that, okay, I'm ready for the social consequences that will come to me because I've used the gun.
Well, and talking about social consequences, I live in a small town. So if I get into a defensive encounter at home, everybody
knows.
Everybody knows.
Yep.
And for those that know me, that are friends, are they still going to be friends? Are they going to treat me different? Then you got to worry about the other people on the other side, the ones that are grieving for whoever you've just taken the life of. You've got to worry about their lawyers.
And they're showing up at your house and angry at you. And trying to beat up your kids at school, whatever it may be, or because the news media portrayed it differently than what it really was, you get turned into the ogre in the media that you're not, right? I've had lots of news stories written about either me as a person or as an officer or as a soldier over the years, and never once, ever, whether it's on large national-wide news, worldwide news, local news, regional news, never once have they ever gotten the story completely right. So they always twist it somehow, some way. I think there's a problem in our journalism schools today.
Absolutely.
And now you get portrayed differently. Are you ready for that effect? Okay, so those are kind of, for me, part of the preparation of, okay, ready, go bang, making the decisions. So now when it comes time to go bang, right, what do you got from there?
So at that point, once it goes bang, I think it's going to be, you don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I know I'm going to call 911. I know that...
When and if possible.
Yeah. And I know within my training, I know I don't want to say a whole lot. I want to get my lawyer involved. But as much as I think about everything and all that, if that were to actually happen, I don't know what my immediate reaction is going to be. So I know that I'm going to have to stay very aware of myself.
Okay.
Because there's things that have happened in my life that I've got, oh, you know what? If that happens, no worry, no worry. I've watched people take that death rattle, and I thought I was fine. I went home and drank, not knowing I was messed up.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know. So have these conversations with ourselves, and at the end, you've really got to take that breath and just go, okay, lawyer, 911, I'm okay. I'm okay. Physically, I'm okay. And just kind of start ABCing.
So we're talking, okay, there's a general aftermath plan. I've gone bang. It's safe enough now, I believe, for me to holster this thing, reconceal it, which, by the way, civilians, bang, 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 you reconceal that thing. Okay?
Absolutely.
If you're going to put it away, reconceal it. Okay. But then have a general plan of the aftermath, which, you know what, let's do another video on this about talking about what you should be doing so you have a general idea, right? Because you're right. You're not going to know exactly how it's going to go because it'll never go according to the plan we establish. But if you have a general concept of the exact steps you need to go through, I think that makes a good idea. Okay.
Yeah, and I think police officers are probably the perfect example of that. I don't know how many instances you've had or gun battles in your career, but how many of them were the same?
Never.
How many of them were the
But
same afterwards?
you can build a response that's kind of pre-programmed in
Yes.
ahead of time, and
Yes.
that's an important component. So that's another thing to think about. Okay, so but now you've gone, right, you've taken your handgun, you've gone bang, 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 you've reconcealed it, you've gotten on the phone to 911. I think too, another portion is dealing with the aftermath. One thing I've done is I've made sure that I have literally at my fingertips anytime I need it, access not just to the legal stuff through Firearms Legal Protection, shameless plug, use Defenders USA to get a discount, and maybe you have the same thing.
I don't
know.
I don't have it yet.
Okay, but also to know who to go to for, I would suggest, counseling in the aftermath.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Understand, I made the mistake one time after a very traumatic incident when they're going, hey, would you like to go talk to this person's counselor brought in for everybody that's involved, talk to him? And I was like, America, no, don't need it.
Tough guy.
And yeah, tough guy. And I realized later that's something I should have done. So I try to encourage everybody who's been through something traumatic like this, go find the professionals who do this as a living. They're paid to do it. They love to do it. They've studied how to do it. They're very good at it. Find the right ones that are out there and go to them. And by the way, it's not your priest. It's not your pastor.
That was going to be my question.
It's not your preacher. Believe me, I've been to Bible school. They don't even talk about this type of stuff. It's not them. They're very good at dealing with the aftermath of violence when your mom dies in a car wreck, your kids' legs get chopped off, whatever. They're great at dealing with that. But when it comes down to you driving a gun in somebody and taking their lifeblood away, they don't even study that in Bible school. Believe me, I know. So it's not those people. Go find the professional counselors that are out there. And I have a great one to recommend, folks, if you need to call me, that can help you process this information so that you can live the best and fullest life you absolutely deserve to live. And just as importantly, that you live the life your family and loved ones need you to live. And so that you can also, right, not drive them down.
Right.
You can still uplift them too. And there's a lot more to say there, but I think that's one of the components of being prepared for that moment in time that we hope will never come and probably never will. But if it does, you have to be prepared.
You got to be ready. You got to be ready. And this is one of those conversations that you can go off into all kinds.
Oh my goodness!
You could make 60 videos.
Yeah.
You know,
on just this alone.
Just this alone. Yeah. But yeah, I think what we're trying to say to everybody is have that conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
Can I? Am I okay? What am I willing to do? What am I not willing to do?
And how will I prepare for the aftermath? So we live the life we deserve to live.
Because you've just defended yourself.
Yep.
Assuming that.
And your life will change from that moment forward.
It's going to change.
I promise you.
But just because you've had to defend yourself doesn't mean that you deserve less.
Yes.
You still should have a good life.
And not just you, those who are attached to your life closely.
Exactly.
They deserve the very best you. So that's where you need to prepare you as a gun carrier for the aftermath. And I think that's kind of important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Boys and girls, we've spent a lot of time here talking down some rabbit trails.
I think that went a little longer than we expected, but
they're important.
When you start talking and you get passionate.
And we're so lucky to have him here, and thank you for letting me be on your channel now. Finally get to be on Troy's channel, Tory's channel.
Thank you for having me. I've been waiting to do this for a long time. So.
Cool. I'm excited to be on your channel. Okay, so boys and girls, Defenders USA, hit like, subscribe, this and that, share this type of thing if you find it's important to you. And by the way, if you're carrying a gun, this is important stuff if you've not thought about it. At the same time, we want to plug his YouTube channel again too, if you don't mind.
My YouTube channel is Soper Firearms Training. Please like and subscribe, and leave me some comments. Let me know what you think.
Hey, and guys down in the Kentucky area, and you're Eastern Kentucky.
I'm in Eastern Kentucky, so the Ohio, West Virginia, Kentucky corner there.
Okay, go see him for some firearms training. For us, we're all up and down Colorado. I'm now in Arizona also, and we'd love to see you at some of our training courses. All right, Adam Winch.
Tory Soper.
And take care.